Hi everyone, welcome to Lisa's Stamp Studio. I'm Lisa Curcio. I've got a slider card for you today. Actually, the mechanism is made with 2 pennies and it's going to create a really fun spinning card for you. Out of the season, yes I know, because we're getting close to Christmas, but I know this idea can be adapted to other cards as well. And plus it's kind of nice and refreshing to have something that's not holiday every once in a while. After all, you still need birthday cards. Remember to head over to my blog and check on the online classes tab where you can find project PDF tutorials and studio stamps in the mail. And on my blog, you'll be able to find the cutting dimensions and still photos of today's project. I'll be sure to put the link in the description below so that you can easily access it. Let's get over to the stamp table and let's get started. Check out how cute this is. So you can see he slides from the left into the right on this card. Just adds a little credence to that crazy llama, doesn't it? I'm going to show you how to put it together. We're going to start with a base of pumpkin pie cardstock. I'm going to have all the measurements and pictures for today's card over on my blog. The very first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually create that track for the slide. That comes from the Sliding Star Framelits. Lots of cute pieces in here. This actually goes in a complete circle, but we're going to use the arc today. So I'm going to take that piece out, and that's going to be centered here on the front of our card. So the best way to remember this, it's going to be like a smile. I've got my big shot here with the magnetic platform, which is great for your framelits, so they'll stay in place. I'm going to open up the card so we make sure we only go through the front half. And I'm going to line up my smile on the card. So I'm calling it a smile so you remember which way to put it. And about halfway is about right. Clear mat will go over the top to protect it. And then we're going to crank this through. That's going to cut that opening for you so you don't ever have to use a punch or another form of cutting tool, which makes it so easy, and it's the right size. So there we've got our opening, and this is our negative piece. I'm sure a lot of you can come up with something great with that. So we'll set that aside as well. I've switched out to the basic platform now, and this is where I'm going to create the texture on the front of the card. We're going to emboss it using the confetti embossing folder. I'm going to slip that right over the top. I want my image to go vertical, straight up and down, so I'm going to make sure that's going in the right direction. And I'm going to place that here and put the clear mat over the top. I'm going to caution you too, you want to make sure that both edges of your embossing folder are on the mat properly. Otherwise, if you crank it through, you're going to chew up some of that plastic as it goes through. You want to make sure that it's even. So here we have our embossed card front. Cute, so far we're doing great. Now we're going to work on some stamping. I've got several ink pads here. We're going to use the Memento, the Emerald Envy, Mambo, and the Curry. I'll set these aside. Let's start by stamping the llama. He comes from the stamp set called Birthday Fiesta. Ooh, so much fun. Something different too. I like that it's different. Photopolymer stamps make it really easy to align your image. So I'm going to go ahead and ink up my llama. And I'm going to stamp him here on a scrap of Tip Top Taupe. There is designer series paper that coordinates with this suite of products, and I absolutely love it because of course the double-sided patterns are lots and lots of fun. But I'm going to use the designer paper to actually stamp the little blanket that's on his back. So I'm going to use the exact same stamp again. I'm going to ink it up inside the Memento ink, and up here at the top I just need a small amount, so I'm just going to stamp that right here. And then I'm going to actually fussy cut this. I'm going to take my paper snips and cut this out a little bit smaller. And then I'm going to cut out just the blanket portion. I don't even need the pom-pom, so this is really an easy cut. I'm going to cut right around there. So now we have that blanket portion. So I'm going to set that aside because we're going to attach that as soon as we die cut the image. On a scrap piece of white cardstock, I'm going to stamp a little flower using the Melon Mambo ink. This is all from the same stamp set. Look how tiny. And you're going to be so glad you don't have to cut this out because there is a framelit for this. I'm going to stamp that right here. I'm also going to use the emerald to stamp a stem for this flower. This image actually comes inside the stamp set. It's nice and long. I just curled it. The beauty of photopolymer, you can actually twist it. I just need a small portion, so I'm going to stamp this. And I'm going to put that here on my paper. Remember, the cutting dimensions for this are going to be on my blog. This small piece here is where my greeting is going to go, and I'm going to use the words that say Fiesta like there's no mañana. Back to the Emerald Envy, and I'm going to place that right inside this block. Here's an additional piece of designer paper from that same package. Cute, huh? And again, polka dots on the other side. Actually, they're like little starbursts. I take that back. Great for any other occasion. This is where I got the sombrero. So I'm going to take this out with my scissors. Just cut that away. And then I'm just going to very carefully fussy cut this. This is not hard at all because you've got the printed lines right there. I'm just going to cut him out. And this is actually going to be adorning our words. Now, if you want to get creative, you know, this will be adorable on top of your llama as well. Gotta love the designer paper, because if you don't have a stamp, you've always got the images in the paper to use. I've got my magnetic platform once again, and the beauty of a bundle, we've got the coordinating framelets. So we're going to do a little bit of die cutting. I'm going to actually take this piece out, and we're going to use the llama. And remember that itty bitty flower? Nope, we don't have to cut it. So we've got a framelit for that as well. I'm going to place my white cardstock scrap here, and I'm going to die cut one of the banners. And our llama is going to go here. A framelit for him as well. Do you see how I'm trying to put as many things on this platform as I can at one time? That's going to cut down on a lot of cranking. So that's just a great tip. So do you see how this is happening? Do you ever have this happen? Where it just kind of runs all over the place and it's frustrating. You can't get it to lay right. So I keep a piece of washi tape right here on top of my Big Shot. So this is what I do. I line it up how I want it. I lay the washi tape over the framelit on the cardstock. It's going to hold it in place so you don't have to worry about it scattering itself all over. Clear mat over the top. And then we're going to crank this through, and we're going to die cut all of those at one time. I honestly don't know what I would do without my die cutting machine. I love my Big Shot. It's a great tool. So here we've got our washi tape. I reuse this piece. There's no sense in throwing it away. And we're just going to poke that out. That image is so tiny. There we go. So we've got our little flower. And then we have our llama. And we have the banner. This one, because of the small little areas on here, you're going to want to use your Big Shot die brush. I keep mine in a scrap box just to kind of catch all the little pieces that come out. So the paper is inside the die. Now obviously you can poke that. That's going to take a little bit longer. But I'm going to use the die brush, and I'm going to go over this like a rolling pin in all different directions. And the bristles from this brush are stiff, and it's going to allow me to get in there to release the pieces. So you can see that the paper is stuck here. So I'm going to use my paper piercing tool just to give it a gentle poke, and it should come out. And then we're just going to carefully pull this off. There we go. So now we have the banner that's going to go on our card. Remember the little blanket that we cut out? So we're all ready for that. I'm going to take out my silicone mat. This is wonderful. Adhesive will not stick to it. You can see that it just rubs right off. The great thing about this is it doesn't make your work surface sticky, so you don't have to worry about it ripping your paper and your project as you work. So if I do it on here and I get some on here, it'll come right off. And then we're going to put our little blanket on our llama. Make sure I've got this on there to mimic that. And you're going to see, because we stamped it with the exact same image, it's going to fit perfectly. So now he's got his blanket. Down here, we're going to, on the base of the card, we're going to add our greeting. So I'm going to add some adhesive to the back of my words. I'm going to put that here down in the corner of my card. Remember the little sombrero? This is where we're going to decorate the letter A. Now, I chose not to put a dimensional on the back because I didn't want it to be sticking up too much when the llama goes sliding. So I used my silicone mat again, and I put adhesive on the back. I'm telling you, the stuff is amazing because you don't have to worry about it getting all over your work surface. That's going to go down here near my A. Remember this little stick here, this little strand that we cut out to be the stem? This is an easy cut. Don't let this discourage you. I'm just going to come in with my scissors and cut on either side of it. You do want to leave a little bit of white around it. Here on the mat we have the flower and the stem. Now I'm going to use a glue dot. I'm going to put that on the back of my flower. I'm going to step that right on top of here. I'm going to pull that off. And that's how I'm going to connect these two. So let me grab this. And this is going to be a little longer than we need. So that's actually going to work to our advantage so that we can trim it. Again, silicone mat. Watch how great this is. Little tiny area, wide adhesive. Going to come right down here. What I don't need is going to be here, and it's not sticky. So I've got what I need here. I'm going to position this in my little llama's mouth. So I'm going to put it right here below her teeth. I keep calling it her or him, not sure what it is. And then we're going to give this a haircut on the back. So I've got a little bit more than I need. That's great. We're just about finished, but let's decorate this banner that I'm going to add to the top of the card. I've got the emerald, the curry, and the Mambo inks. There are several different banners that are inside the stamp set, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stamp and alternate. So I'm going to ink up the green one, so that's my emerald, and that's going to go here, and then I'm going to skip a couple, and then I'm going to go here. I'm going to clean off my stamp. My Stamp and Scrub is off camera, but I'm going to tell you what, I love it. It's like doing the dishes. One side's wet, one side's dry. It's going to allow me to switch colors with the same stamp, now coming back in with my yellow. And then last but not least, the Mambo. That's going to go here and here. So now we've got our banner all decorated. The banner is going to get attached here to the top of the card. Again, I've got my silicone mat. That's going to make things really easy for me. And again, I don't want to use dimensionals because I want to make sure that my llama can freely navigate across the card without having any obstructions, because the dimensionals would make it too high. And that's going to go here at the top of the card. And it may be a little bit too long, which is a great thing because you don't have to worry about it being too short. And then we'll just give that a haircut. I'm going to rub from the inside. And then with my sticky scissors. I have a pair of scissors in my stamp room that I label strictly to use with adhesive so they don't mar up my good ones when I'm cutting paper. Here we go. We've got our llama, and here's our image. Let's put the slider together. Here comes the fun part. You'll need 2 pennies, and you'll need your dimensionals. So we have our 2 pennies, and this comes the fun part. What we're going to need to do is we're going to need to cut around some of these dimensional corners because we want this to be as much of a circle as possible. That octagon shape is going to prohibit him from sliding if they stick out just a little bit too far. So I'm going to place that trimmed dimensional here. I'm going to remove the paper backing. The other penny is going to go right on top to create that sandwich. And I've put a dimensional here on the back of my llama, so I can mount that as a mechanism for him to spin. So there's the sandwich, you can see it. Now what you're going to do is you're going to put it inside that cardstock track. I'm just kind of manipulating the paper. So there we go. Now we have our llama in his slider. Isn't this cute? This one's been worn down pretty well, so he's sliding really good. I will tell you, as soon as you get it, you're going to probably need to practice with him a little bit to loosen him up, and then he'll move very freely across the card. Here is the one we've created today. Here's the one I did before you joined me. I'm so glad that you were with me today, everyone. Don't forget to head over to my blog for the pictures and the cutting dimensions, and I look forward to seeing you again. Have a great day.